Welcome, traveler of time, as you settle beneath the quiet rhythm of your own breath. Let the world around you fade, the hum of modern life, the glow of the screen, the weight of the day. All begin to dissolve, softly, gently. You are safe now. You are at rest. Hear the whisper of a silk gown brushing against polished floors. Smell the subtle fragrance of rosewater, beeswax, and wood smoke, the scents of another age. Tonight, we journey back to the Tudor court, to a world of princesses and politics, where Mary and Elizabeth, two sisters born of power and peril, grew up in a palace filled with secrets. This is not a tale of crowns and battles, but a quiet unfolding of what life truly felt like behind the walls of history. Let the story begin to breathe around you. As your own breath slows and deepens, inhale softly and exhale completely. With every breath, imagine the candlelight growing dimmer, the sounds of the modern world fading further away, until all that remains is the gentle crackle of a hearth fire and the low murmur of Tudor voices in the distance. This is your relaxing historical bedtime story, a calm retreat into the past, where time drifts like smoke and history becomes a dream. Let it carry you. Let it soothe you. The year is 1536. England is a kingdom in transformation. The air filled with prayers, gossip, and the clanging of church bells. In the great halls of Hampton Court, courtiers whisper of alliances and betrayals. Yet somewhere beyond the echo of those grand halls, a young girl stirs in her chamber, Mary Tudor, daughter of Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon. Her story, like her sister Elizabeth's, begins not in power, but in uncertainty. And tonight, you will walk beside them, not as a scholar or historian, but as a quiet witness, observing the lives of two royal sisters as they drift through the candlelit corridors of their youth. Breathe in deeply once more. Feel the weight of centuries settle softly over you like a velvet cloak. Outside the palace, a light rain begins to fall, tapping gently against the windows. Inside, the world glows golden with firelight. You stand now within that warmth. The gentle hum of a lute in the background, the distant laughter of courtiers fading into the night. The light flickers softly across carved oak panels and embroidered tapestries. Each thread, each shadow holding a story. In this stillness, you begin to move through time. Your steps are soundless, your presence unseen. You walk past guards in scarlet doublets and maids balancing silver trays. You feel the soft chill of the corridor, the cool breath of the 16th century wrapping around you like mist. And in that moment, you are no longer here. You are there. In Tudor England, at the threshold of history, where the line between dream and memory blurs into one. As you breathe, your body grows heavier, your thoughts lighter. The flicker of torchlight becomes the rhythm of your heartbeat. Each beat, each breath carries you deeper into rest, deeper into time. In this quiet journey, you'll drift through the daily rhythms of royal life, from morning prayers to moonlit corridors, from whispered letters to the stillness of night gardens. You'll glimpse the human side of history, the longing, the silence, the small, fragile hopes that even princesses once held. And by the end, as the world fades into sleep, you will feel not as though you've learned about history, but that you've lived it, slowly, softly, peacefully. So breathe again. The journey is beginning. The candles are lit. The Tudor night has arrived. Rest now, and drift into the story of Mary and Elizabeth, daughters of kings and ghosts of time, waiting for you within the softest hours of history. The candlelight flickers once more, then steadies, glowing softly in the stillness of the chamber. You take another slow breath, in and out, feeling the cool air of the past move gently against your skin. Somewhere beyond these walls, the bells of London toll softly, each note a heartbeat of time itself. Your body feels heavy now, settled, calm. You are no longer an observer standing at the edge of the past. You are part of it. The walls of the palace seem to breathe with you, ancient stone expanding and contracting with the rhythm of your breath. You can almost hear the faint hum of footsteps echoing through the corridors. Servants whisper prayers in Latin as they light the morning candles. The scent of burning tallow mingles with fresh linen, polished wood, and lavender carried on the morning air. In this early hour, before the sun has fully risen, the Tudor court feels at peace. Outside, the River Thames drifts lazily beneath a layer of pale mist. The water moves so slowly it seems frozen in thought, like the world itself is still dreaming. You begin to drift too, between wakefulness and sleep, between the now and the then. With each passing breath, the distance between your world and theirs disappears entirely. The soft creak of floorboards draws your attention. A maid enters quietly, carrying a copper basin filled with water. Steam curls up into the cool air, shimmering in the candlelight. She sets it down near the window, her movements graceful and practiced, as if every gesture is part of a long-forgotten ritual. This is the beginning of the day in the Tudor palace. And yet, to you, it feels like the slow unfolding of a dream. The gentle murmur of fabric, the rustle of curtains, the distant call of a dove outside the window, all become the sounds of your own slowing heartbeat. In a nearby chamber, Mary Tudor sits at her small wooden desk. The candle beside her burns low, and she writes carefully, her quill scratching softly across parchment. The ink glistens black in the golden light. Her handwriting is steady, though her eyes are tired. She pauses often, perhaps thinking of her mother, the lost Queen Catherine, or of the uncertainty that shadows her family's name. You stand quietly at the threshold, watching her in silence. You are invisible, a traveller from centuries away, bearing only calm and curiosity. You feel a faint ache in the stillness. Not sadness, but the deep, human echo of time. For a moment she looks up, her gaze distant. The candlelight softens her face. She seems to sense something, a presence, a whisper, the unseen heartbeat of another soul in the room. And then, with a small sigh, she returns to her writing. The sound of her quill returns to its soft rhythm, a gentle scratching that seems to blend with your own breath. It's hypnotic, slow, steady. You close your eyes for a moment and listen. The sound becomes a lullaby, a song written by time itself. Beyond Mary's chamber, the palace begins to stir. Footsteps echo down long corridors. Pages rush past, carrying messages wrapped in ribbon. A distant lute begins to play. Faint at first, then slowly clearer. A few wandering notes like drops of rain against the window. You breathe in again, and the air feels warmer, richer. You smell beeswax and spiced wine, hear laughter fading through open doors. The Tudor world has awakened fully now, yet it remains calm, hushed, as though every sound, every movement is wrapped in velvet, and through it all, you remain still. The noise does not disturb you. It becomes part of your rhythm, a background hum that lulls rather than stirs. You are not awake here. You are not asleep either. You are floating gently within the soft cradle of history, where time no longer marches, it drifts. As the final notes of the lute fade, the scene begins to blur. Candlelight dissolves into mist. The scent of lavender fades. The sound of footsteps becomes a heartbeat again. Your heartbeat, slow, steady, calm. The story is ready to begin. The world of Mary and Elizabeth now waits beyond the threshold of your breath. So breathe once more, softly and deep. Feel your body rest. Feel the centuries open before you like a quiet dream. The Tudor dawn rises, and you drift into its golden light. The palace breathes, and time itself slows. The morning mist lingers over the palace gardens of Greenwich, wrapping the dew-covered hedges in silver light. The year is 1544, and England rests at the edge of change. Yet, in this hour before the bustle of court life begins, the world feels untouched, eternal. You stand within the stillness of that dawn. The soft hum of birdsong drifts across the garden walls, mingling with the faint clatter of hooves on cobblestones far beyond the courtyard. The air smells of rain and roses, earth and oak smoke, the familiar perfume of Tudor life. You take a slow breath in, feeling the coolness of the morning fill your chest. Somewhere, in the palace kitchens, a faint sound rises. The creak of wooden doors, the clinking of copper pots, the muffled laughter of servants beginning their day. The scent of baking bread and honey lingers in the corridors, carried by the gentle current of air through the arched stone halls. The palace itself is a living thing. Its walls breathe with the heat of fires and the pulse of footsteps. Candles burn slowly within iron sconces, casting long golden shadows across floors of polished oak. The walls are hung with tapestries telling stories of knights, saints, and summer hunts, their colours soft and faded from centuries of light. You move through the grand corridor, your steps soundless, your body weightless. Sunlight begins to pour through the narrow windows, turning the dust in the air into drifting stars. You pass the chapel door, where voices rise in quiet chant, a small group of monks beginning their morning prayer. The sound is ancient, soothing, endless. In a chamber not far from there, Princess Mary Tudor kneels beside her bed, her rosary wrapped delicately around her fingers. Her prayer is silent, whispered between breaths. She wears a simple gown, crimson wool trimmed with gold thread. Her hair, auburn like her mother's, falls in neat waves over her shoulders. Despite the grandeur of her surroundings, there is a stillness in her, a patience born of waiting, of watching history unfold. You pause to observe, but not intrude. The moment feels sacred, private. The candle beside her flickers gently, its flame reflecting in the polished brass crucifix before her. Outside, the morning light grows brighter. The courtiers begin to wake. A boy rushes across the courtyard carrying a jug of water. Two ladies in waiting whisper as they climb the stairs, their silk slippers brushing softly against the stone. The rhythm of life unfolds, measured, quiet, ritualistic. You walk further through the palace grounds, past carved archways and gardens trimmed in perfect symmetry. The air here hums faintly with bees moving among lavender and thyme. A small fountain burbles nearby, its sound delicate and repetitive, like a heartbeat. The architecture around you glows warm and red beneath the morning sun. Tudor chimneys rise high above the roofs, twisting like ribbons of brick and smoke. Carved wooden beams frame every doorway, their edges softened by age. The palace blends stone and timber, strength and grace, a reflection of the world it protects. You can feel time slow here. The days are marked not by urgency but by rhythm. Morning prayers, the turn of the sun, the chiming of vespers at dusk. A gentle wind moves through the trees, carrying faint echoes of lute music from an open window. It's the melody of practice, a young musician tuning his instrument, repeating the same few notes over and over until the tone hums just right. And then, faintly you hear laughter, soft, melodic, unmistakably young. You turn toward the sound and see another figure in the garden. Elizabeth, younger than Mary, her bright red hair catching the sunlight. She's walking with her governess, reciting Latin phrases between bursts of giggles. A small falcon sits on the girl's arm, hooded and calm. You watch from a distance, unseen, as the two princesses live their separate mornings, unaware of how history will one day bind them in rivalry and legend. For now, they are simply sisters in two different worlds of light. The air between their chambers feels like the pause between two heartbeats, the stillness before history breathes again. The palace hums softly, alive with warmth and candlelight. From the kitchens below, the smell of roasted apples and cinnamon begins to drift upward. The scent fills the corridors, mingling with beeswax and the faint smoke of the morning hearths. You pass through another hallway, where the tapestry shows a scene of Arthurian knights kneeling before a crowned king. The gold thread catches the sunlight as if glowing from within. For a moment, you close your eyes. The warmth of the air, the echo of footsteps, the flicker of the flame, all of it blends into one slow rhythm. This is the pulse of Tudor life, measured, deliberate, elegant, the kind of rhythm that slows your heart, calms your breath, and draws you inward toward rest. You feel your body grow heavier, your shoulders relax, the world narrows to the hush of history. Somewhere a church bell rings again, low, deep, resonant. Each chime echoes across the courtyard and fades gently into the open sky. The sound feels eternal. You are floating now, between the world you left and the world you've entered, between sleep and story. The Tudor court opens before you, slow and golden. The voices fade, the air hums, the story continues, the palace breathes with history, and the day unfolds softly, like the turning of a page. The morning now brightens into a muted gold. The courtyard of Greenwich Palace glimmers with dew as servants carry baskets of linens to the washing yard. Horses stamp gently near the stables, their breath misting in the cool air. Everything moves with a kind of quiet rhythm, unhurried, unbroken, ancient. You follow a narrow path that curves toward the gardens where Princess Elizabeth has gone walking. The hedges are high and perfect, shaped in patterns of crowns and hearts. The gravel crunches softly beneath your steps. Bees hum lazily around a patch of white roses, their wings catching flashes of light. Beyond the hedge, you hear the governess's voice, gentle and even. Repeat, "My lady, veritas vincit semper." "Truth conquers always," Elizabeth whispers, her voice like a melody. You smile faintly, unseen. Even now, her tone carries something bright, curious, a spark that will one day define her reign. But here, she is only a child repeating lessons beneath the trees, the world still too large and kind for ambition to harden her heart. As you move onward, the palace stretches in layers, halls, towers, gardens, and courtyards unfolding like petals of a rose. The hum of daily life rises softly around you. The ring of distant hammers from the smithy, the rhythm of brooms against stone, the quiet murmur of ladies preparing fabrics for the Queen's chamber. The Queen's apartments glow with filtered sunlight through leaded windows. The glass is uneven, each pane catching light differently. Green, gold, and pale blue. The air smells faintly of lavender and wax. Within, Queen Catherine Parr sits near a writing desk, her quill scratching gently across parchment. She is thoughtful, her posture elegant but calm. She has a scholar's patience. A woman who reads Latin prayers and letters from reformers by candlelight when the court sleeps. Her influence is soft but shaping. It is through her that Mary and Elizabeth both learn to balance faith and intellect, duty and reflection. You pass through this scene like a ghost of the future, watching, listening, absorbing. Through the tall windows, the River Thames glitters, barges drift lazily past, their sails billowing against the mild wind. You can almost hear the creak of oars and the distant laughter of watermen calling to each other from boat to boat. The city beyond, London in the Tudor dawn, wakes slowly. Market stalls begin to open near the riverbank. The air is rich with scents of bread, fish, and smoke. The cry of a bell signals the start of trade, while church bells from a dozen spires echo in response. But here within the palace, time moves slower. It's as if the walls themselves protect this small world from the rush of the outside. You move again through a long gallery lined with portraits. Henry VIII in his youth, proud and fierce. Catherine of Aragon, serene and steady. And others, faces painted into eternity, watching you as you pass. The floorboards creak faintly, their sound echoing through the quiet chamber like whispers from the past. Then you come to a large window overlooking the gardens. The sunlight has deepened now, soft amber through the leaves. You rest your hands on the stone sill and breathe in deeply. The air carries every sound, every story. Far below, a small procession moves, servants carrying silver trays to the great hall, where breakfast is being set. The dishes gleam in the light, bowls of porridge sweetened with honey, platters of fruit, warm bread and cheese, and small cups of ale. The clinking of metal and pottery forms a soft rhythm beneath the bird song. You descend the stairs, each step slow and echoing. The stone is cool beneath your touch, the walls thick and comforting. In the great hall, a fire crackles gently. Above it, a tapestry shows King Arthur and his knights seated at the round table. A favourite legend of the Tudor imagination. It's a reminder that even kings need myth to crown their reality. You stand for a while by the fire, letting its warmth touch your hands. The flicker of orange light dances against the wooden beams, painting shifting shapes that blur and fade like thoughts before sleep. The hall begins to fill quietly, courtiers moving with grace, servants with practiced calm, and musicians tuning their lutes and viols. The sound is soft and soothing, a prelude to the murmurs of conversation that will soon follow. In the corner, Princess Mary enters, her steps steady, her presence reserved but dignified. Her eyes sweep the room, calm, intelligent, cautious. She takes her place at the table, folding her hands gently before her. Across the room, Elizabeth appears with a lightness that contrasts her sister's composure. Quick, bright, a small smile flickering at the edges of her lips. For a moment, you see them together, two princesses, bound by blood and destiny, yet worlds apart in spirit. Mary's thoughts linger on faith and order. Elizabeth's, though still unformed, seem to chase the sunbeams that filter through the window. You sense the undercurrent of their lives, the quiet tension beneath the surface of routine, the contrast between stillness and spark. And yet, for now, it is peace. The Tudor court breathes in harmony, unaware of the storms history will bring. The soft clatter of cups, the hum of a lute, the whisper of gowns across stone floors, all blend into a single, drowsy rhythm. You close your eyes for a moment. The warmth of the fire and the murmurs of the hall surround you like a lullaby. In this stillness, time dissolves again. You could be standing in the same hall centuries later, and the sounds would remain the same. The palace endures. The river flows. The lives within it flicker like candlelight, brief, bright, eternal. Your breath slows. Your heartbeat steadies. The edges of the world begin to blur. You are no longer just an observer. You are part of the memory itself, a guest of the past, drifting between centuries, guided by history's quiet pulse. And as the court settles into its morning calm, the story prepares to move. Beyond the palace walls, into the markets, the harbours, the fields where England's heart beats softly under the sun. But for now, breathe, listen, and drift with the story as it unfolds. A lullaby from another time. The world beyond the palace stirs to life, and you follow its pulse, steady, calm, eternal. You step out from the shelter of the palace walls, and the morning air greets you with a cool hush. The mist over the River Thames lingers like a veil of silver, softening the edges of boats, towers, and chimneys. The faint cry of a gull breaks the silence, echoing between the rooftops of London in the Tudor age. Your footsteps are slow, unhurried, following the gentle curve of the cobbled path. Each stone beneath your feet has been worn smooth by centuries of travellers, merchants, couriers, and nobles who once carried messages through the heart of this growing kingdom. The air smells faintly of baked bread and damp earth, mixed with the scent of wood smoke curling from early morning fires. Down the lane, you see the first signs of waking life, a baker sliding loaves into a great brick oven, steam rising in soft waves. The sound of a broom sweeps rhythmically against stone. Somewhere nearby, a horse snorts and shakes its mane, the harness jingling softly. Everything unfolds slowly, naturally, like a world breathing in harmony with the dawn. As you walk toward the marketplace, the city begins to bloom with colour. Stalls open one by one, bolts of linen draped like waterfalls of cream and blue, baskets of apples gleaming red and gold, copper pots polished to a warm glow. Merchants speak in low tones, greeting one another with half smiles and the clink of coins. You pause to watch a young blacksmith's apprentice hammering a horseshoe on his small forge. Sparks fly like fleeting stars, glowing briefly before fading into smoke. The sound, steady and rhythmic, is oddly comforting. Each strike of the hammer echoes the heartbeat of the city itself, strong, enduring, alive. Nearby, a group of children play at the edge of the square, tossing pebbles and laughing. Their voices rise above the hum of trade, light and free. You notice a little girl holding a wooden doll dressed in fine silk, to curtsy like a princess. Her friend bows in reply, pretending to be the queen. The sight draws a smile. Even here, in the simplest corners of London, the echo of royalty drifts softly through imagination. The riverfront lies just beyond, and you make your way there slowly. The streets narrow, the air thick with the scent of tar, rope, and salt. Ships rest at anchor, tall-masted vessels creaking gently with the tide. Sailors move about with quiet efficiency, hauling ropes, checking cargo, whispering to one another in the hush before work truly begins. You pause beside a wooden crate and rest your hand on its rough surface. Inside, the faint aroma of spices from the east lingers. Cinnamon, clove, pepper. The scent feels warm, foreign, ancient, a whisper from lands far beyond the sea. You breathe it in, and for a moment, you sense the vastness of the world that lies beyond Tudor England. trade routes stretching across oceans, stories crossing centuries. From the dock, you can see the outlines of the Tower of London in the distance, solemn, grey, unyielding. Its walls hold 1,000 stories, some proud, some dark, all buried beneath centuries of silence. You let your gaze rest there only briefly before turning away. The present is gentler than the past tonight. The sun climbs slowly, its light soft and golden on the river. Reflections shimmer like ripples of liquid gold. A barge drifts past, its oars dipping in perfect rhythm. On board, a small group of nobles sit quietly, their garments glinting faintly with embroidery. They speak little, lost in the same calm that now fills your chest. You begin to walk again, following the water's edge as the noise of the marketplace fades behind you. The rhythm of your steps merges with the sound of the tide. A soft breeze plays at your hair, carrying the smell of seaweed and the faint echo of church bells from St. Paul's far away. The city fades into stillness once more, and as you breathe in deeply, the story seems to change perspective. Gently, effortlessly. You are no longer only the listener watching the world unfold. You are part of it, a traveller from the future, unseen but present, walking quietly through history's dream. The air itself seems aware of you, wrapping you in calm recognition. Somewhere, a young woman in fine Tudor silk stands at a window above the street, her face half lit by the soft sun. She watches the city below with the same quiet wonder. Her name drifts on the wind, faint and familiar. Elizabeth. She cannot see you, but you feel the connection, through centuries, through time itself. Two observers sharing a single still moment in the rhythm of history. And as you turn from the river and step back toward the heart of the city, the story deepens. The markets grow livelier, the sounds richer. Yet still, everything moves in slow, soothing cadence. History hums like a lullaby beneath your feet. You are both dreamer and witness, drifting through the gentle pulse of Tudor England. As the sun bends low and shadows stretch across the stone, the heartbeat of the Tudor world slows to a gentle rhythm. Evening begins to settle over London like a velvet shawl. The golden light fades to honey, spilling softly across rooftops and the river's surface. The smoke of hearth fires rises in graceful spirals, carrying with it the scent of roasted grains, tallow, and sweet herbs. Every sound, the echo of a wheel, the whisper of a broom, the hush of distant laughter, feels slower, dreamlike, as though time itself has begun to drowse. You move along a narrow lane lined with timbered houses. The wooden beams are dark and sturdy, their walls filled with white plaster that glows faintly in the last of the sun. From open windows drift voices, soft singing, murmured prayers, the clinking of pewter cups. Each sound weaves into a kind of lullaby for the city, wrapping it in warmth and familiarity. A group of apprentices walk past, their faces smudged with the day's work, laughing quietly among themselves. One carries a loaf of bread under his arm, another hums a tune learned from a passing minstrel. Their energy is light, unburdened. For a moment you imagine what it must feel like to live simply in this world, where life is slow, the seasons steady, and nightfall brings the comfort of firelight rather than fear. Turning the corner, you find yourself near a tavern, its sign swaying gently in the evening breeze. A carved wooden crown painted in fading gold. The door creaks open, and out drifts the soft sound of a lute, mingled with low voices and the scent of ale and roasted chestnuts. You pause at the threshold, watching candlelight flicker inside. Within, the scene glows warmly. A group of travellers seated by the fire, their cloaks steaming faintly from the damp. A woman hums as she pours ale, her sleeves rolled, her face kind. The lute player's fingers move slowly over the strings, coaxing a melody that feels both ancient and tender. Something half-remembered, like a dream you almost recall from childhood. You do not enter, but linger in the doorway, letting the warmth of sound and light wash over you. Each note of the lute seems to echo through your heartbeat, the rhythm soft and even. The song fades into silence, and a gentle murmur of conversation takes its place. Words you cannot make out, yet somehow understand in feeling. The shared comfort of belonging, of stories told at day's end. Outside again, the streets have grown dim. Lanterns flicker to life one by one, pools of amber light glowing against the gathering dusk. The sky above is deep blue, streaked with silver, the first stars trembling faintly. You walk toward the river once more, following the familiar path, now transformed by the hush of night. The water glimmers like liquid glass beneath the moon's reflection. Barges drift lazily downstream, their shadows rippling along the current. Somewhere, a watchman calls the hour in a low voice. 8 o'clock, and all is well. His words fade into the mist, carried by the soft rush of the tide. As you pause beside a stone wall, you hear the faint ringing of church bells, slow, deliberate, and clear. Their echoes ripple across the rooftops, marking the rhythm of a world content to rest. Each toll seems to draw you deeper into calm. In the distance, you glimpse the outline of Whitehall Palace, its tall chimneys and towers silhouetted against the glowing sky. Within those walls, the lives of Mary and Elizabeth unfold quietly. Two sisters bound by blood, divided by belief, yet united by solitude. Tonight, their chambers are lit by the same soft candlelight that touches every corner of the city. Perhaps in this moment, Elizabeth stands near her window, looking out at the same river you now watch. Her mind drifts, like yours, between thought and dream, between duty and wonder. The faint rustle of her gown, the sigh of her breath, they belong to this same quiet hour, where time seems to pause and listen. A light rain begins to fall, misting the air with coolness. The drops make tiny ripples on the puddles at your feet, glinting in lantern light like small stars brought to earth. You pull your cloak closer, not from cold, but from a deep, unspoken comfort. The kind that comes from feeling part of a story much larger than yourself. As you walk on, the narrow lane opens into a small courtyard where a stone fountain murmurs softly. The water glows under moonlight, catching fragments of stars. You sit at the fountain's edge, resting your hand on the cool stone. The air smells faintly of lavender and rain. For a long time, nothing happens. And that, in itself, is beautiful. The world holds still. The night deepens, the story breathes. You are both observer and dreamer, drifting through Tudor London as it folds itself into sleep. Somewhere, a cat darts across the lane. Somewhere else, a shutter creaks closed, but you remain in stillness, hearing only the soft rhythm of falling rain and the distant hum of the river. As the candlelight of the city flickers and fades, the tone of the story begins to shift, preparing to guide you deeper into the realm of night, toward the quiet palaces and hidden chambers of royal dreams. Breathe in deeply, exhale completely, and know that this world, though centuries away, has opened itself to you, not as a place of study, but as a home for rest. The rain slows, the fountain murmurs softly, and the story, like the night, continues its gentle descent into peace. Within the palace walls, time slows to a whisper. The night becomes a mirror, reflecting the hearts of two sisters bound by history. The rain fades to a soft drizzle as you approach Whitehall Palace once again. The lanterns along the path flicker, their flames bending in the cool night air. The sound of the river hums nearby, deep and rhythmic, a lullaby older than the city itself. Guards stand at their posts in silence, their armor gleaming dully in the torchlight. The scent of wet earth mingles with that of beeswax and smoke. You move through the palace gates, unnoticed, as though carried by the quiet itself. Inside, the great halls stretch endlessly, filled with shadows and soft echoes. Tapestries ripple gently in the draught, their woven threads telling stories of kings and saints, battles and feasts, all now hushed under the weight of night. The only sound is the faint creak of the wooden floor beneath your slow, careful steps. Somewhere deep within these halls, a harpsichord plays, not in grandeur, but in solitude. A single melody, played by unseen hands, drifts through the corridors. Each note lingers like a sigh, delicate and pure. You follow the sound until it leads you to a small, dimly lit chamber. There, beside the fire, sits Princess Mary Tudor, her face half in shadow. The glow of the flames dances across her red hair, glinting like copper thread. In her hands, she holds a rosary, the beads slipping slowly between her fingers. Her eyes are distant, thoughtful, fixed on a memory you cannot see. The melody from the harpsichord comes to a gentle pause, and in the silence that follows, you can almost hear her thoughts. They are soft, weary, yet filled with quiet strength, the kind that comes from enduring loneliness with grace. For a moment, she looks toward the window, where raindrops glisten against the glass. Beyond lies the sleeping city, unaware of her prayers, her fears, her quiet longing for peace. You feel her stillness, her isolation, not as sadness, but as calm acceptance, like a candle burning steadily in the dark. Then, gently, the story shifts. Elsewhere in the palace, another figure moves through the corridor. Young Elizabeth, still a girl, yet with the bearing of someone far older. Her gown trails softly along the floor, and her hand grazes the wall as she walks, tracing the patterns carved into the stone. She pauses before a large window overlooking the courtyard. The moonlight spills across her face, softening her expression into something almost ethereal. She watches the clouds drift slowly past, her reflection blending with the night beyond. You sense in her a quiet wonder, a mind already alive with curiosity, with the question of what lies ahead. But she does not yet know the weight of crowns or the shadow of power. For now she is simply a girl, lost in thought, dreaming of stories, stars, and the vastness of the world. As you stand nearby, she seems to turn slightly, not toward the sound of footsteps, but toward your unseen presence. Her gaze feels as though it meets yours across time, filled with a calm recognition. There is no fear, only a gentle awareness, as if she somehow knows that her story is still being told, that centuries from now, others will whisper her name in candlelight. You breathe slowly, deeply, the rhythm of your chest mirroring the flicker of torchlight along the corridor. Every sound now feels amplified by stillness. The distant murmur of guards, the faint crackle of fire, the soft sigh of fabric as Elizabeth moves. She passes by a door left slightly ajar, from which the scent of lavender drifts, the royal chambers prepared for rest. You follow, though the air feels heavier here, thick with dreams waiting to be born. Inside, the room glows golden from a single candelabrum, The bedchamber is vast yet gentle in tone. Velvet drapes gathered at the corners, a carved canopy casting soft shadows, and beside it, a small writing desk scattered with quills and parchment. Elizabeth sits before it, lighting a small taper to seal her thoughts onto paper. Her words are silent to your ears, but the rhythm of her hand is steady, flowing, like a heartbeat transcribed into ink. The candle beside her sputters, its flames swaying in rhythm with the night breeze. As she writes, the sound of the harpsichord returns, drifting faintly through the walls. The same melody Mary played earlier. It links them, these two daughters of Henry VIII, across silence and time, across belief and distance. One, the embodiment of devotion and sorrow, the other, of intellect and vision. Yet both, in this quiet hour, are simply dreamers under the same moonlight. The music fades again, replaced by the soft sigh of the wind outside. Elizabeth rests her quill, blows gently on the parchment, and watches the ink dry to a dark sheen. Her eyelids flutter, weary now. She stands, moves toward the window once more, and looks out into the night. There, beyond the river, a lantern sways on a boat. The rain has stopped, the stars emerging shyly between clouds. She exhales, long and slow, and the tension in her shoulders melts away. It is here, in this quiet stillness, that the two worlds, past and present, dream and history, merge completely. You feel yourself drifting, the palace fading to shadow, the music lingering like the final notes of a lullaby. Your steps grow slower, the edges of the world softening. The stone beneath your feet feels less solid, the air lighter, until all that remains is the rhythm of your own breath, in and out, gentle and calm. The harpsichord fades into silence. The candles burn lower, and the story prepares to turn from the waking world of Tudor life to the deeper, quieter realm of dreams. The palace has grown utterly still. It is long past midnight now, and the corridors that once hummed with servants' footsteps and courtly laughter lie empty beneath the faint shimmer of torchlight. Only the sound of your own slow breathing seems to move through the still air. You walk softly through the gallery, where portraits of ancestors gaze down with knowing eyes. Painted faces aglow beneath the trembling light of candles. Their jewels catch faint reflections, their garments frozen in rich folds of crimson and gold. They have watched these walls for centuries, silent witnesses to triumph and tragedy alike. The cool stone beneath your feet carries the echo of every age that has passed here. Each breath of wind that slips through a crack in the wall carries a trace of memory, of distant music, whispered prayers, soft weeping, laughter, and love. As you move deeper into the palace, the heavy scent of rosewater lingers. The tapestries, woven with scenes of nights and gardens, sway slightly in the night breeze, like curtains stirring in a dream. You pause near a small arched window that overlooks the Thames River. The moonlight spills through, silvering the water below. A boat drifts silently along the current, its lantern swinging like a heartbeat in the dark. The reflection trembles, painting light upon the ripples. Somewhere below, the guards at the watergate murmur to one another in low tones, their conversation calm, almost musical in its rhythm. You cannot hear their words, only the soft cadence of human connection, like a lullaby from another room. You rest your hands on the cool stone sill. The night air touches your face with the faint scent of damp reeds and smoke from distant chimneys. The city sleeps, wrapped in its own quiet dreams. You close your eyes for a moment and breathe in that stillness, the slow rhythm of water, the weight of silence, the pulse of the ancient city. The past feels alive around you, not as history, but as presence, gentle, patient, eternal. When you open your eyes again, the moonlight has shifted slightly. You feel drawn to follow it, to wander deeper into the heart of the palace, where shadows hide stories yet untold. Your steps carry you into a cloistered passage, where arched ceilings rise above like a ribcage of stone. Here, the air is cooler, filled with the faint fragrance of wax and herbs. A small door stands at the end of the corridor, its handle smooth from centuries of touch. You open it gently and step inside a private chapel, the quiet heart of the royal household. Only a few candles burn before the altar, their flames steady and golden. Stained glass windows gleam faintly, their colours muted in the moonlight, blues like deep water, reds like fading embers, and greens soft as moss. You move closer. The stone floor beneath your feet is cool and ancient, worn smooth by countless knees in prayer. On the altar rests a small book, a book of hours, its pages illuminated with delicate flowers and gold leaf. You run your fingers gently over the edge, feeling the grooves where ink once flowed. The chapel hums faintly with an energy that feels sacred yet peaceful, not solemn, but kind. It is as though time itself slows here, allowing the soul to breathe. A single thought crosses your mind, quiet and tender. How many have stood here before you, seeking comfort or courage beneath the same flickering light? You picture Mary Tudor, once kneeling here, whispering her prayers in Latin, the candlelight painting tears across her face, and later Elizabeth, perhaps standing in the same place, silent and thoughtful, her mind not fixed on saints or scripture, but on destiny and the stars. The walls seem to remember both of them, not as rivals, but as two spirits who once shared the same fragile humanity. The faintest sound drifts through the window above, the distant call of an owl, low and rhythmic, echoing through the night. It feels like a signal, gentle and guiding, to move onward, to follow the flow of stillness itself. You bow your head slightly, then turn toward the door. The flame of one candle trembles as you pass, and the scent of warm wax follows you into the corridor. Outside, the palace feels lighter now, softer, as though it too has exhaled. You walk toward a garden door left ajar, where moonlight spills through in silver streams. The night awaits, and beyond it, the whisper of the river calls you onward, deeper into the dreaming world of Tudor England. You step through the half-open door and into the night air. The change is immediate, soft, cool and fragrant with the perfume of lavender and honeysuckle. The garden stretches before you like a tapestry woven of moonlight and shadow. The hedges, cut in perfect symmetry, form winding paths that lead toward marble fountains and trimmed yew trees. The Tudor garden is both wild and ordered, nature tamed, yet breathing freely. Dew glimmers on every petal and leaf, tiny jewels scattered across the earth. You take a slow breath, the air fresh with the mingling scents of herbs, rosemary, sage, and thyme. Somewhere nearby, water trickles from a stone fountain carved with cherubs, their faces worn smooth by time. You begin to walk. The gravel crunches softly beneath your steps, each sound muffled by the thick night air. Overhead, the moon shines bright and full, bathing everything in silver. You can see your faint reflection in the still water of a lily pond, where white blossoms float like stars fallen to earth. A light wind stirs the branches. The roses sway, brushing against the old brick walls of the palace gardens. Their scent drifts toward you, sweet, calming, endless. You notice the shadow of a figure near the fountain, a young woman in a pale gown, holding a book to her chest. For a moment, it seems she belongs to another time. Her presence feels gentle, like the echo of memory. She looks up, meeting your gaze with a soft smile before turning away, vanishing between the hedges as though made of moonlight. You know, deep within, that she might be one of the Tudor princesses, perhaps Elizabeth, walking in secret thought, her heart a quiet storm of dreams and fears. You imagine her tracing these same paths, planning her future beneath the silent stars, long before her crown, long before her name would be written into history. The garden feels alive with stories, whispers carried on the breeze, each flower a witness, each stone remembering the press of royal footsteps. You pass beneath an arched trellis woven with ivy. Beyond it, a gentle slope leads down toward the river. The grass here is soft, shimmering faintly with dew. As you approach, the sound of the Thames grows clearer. The rhythmic hush of water brushing against the wooden pilings of the pier. A lantern swings gently from an iron hook, casting golden ripples over the dark surface. The world seems to move slower here, the air thick with calm. You sit by the edge for a moment, feeling the cool earth beneath your hands. The river reflects the sky, a deep indigo sea scattered with stars. The breeze carries faint music from the city beyond, a distant lute, laughter from a tavern, the soft toll of a midnight bell. But here, by the river, all is still. You close your eyes and imagine another night, perhaps centuries ago, when Mary Tudor might have stood here, gazing at the same water, her thoughts full of longing and duty. Maybe she too found comfort in the steady rhythm of the current, in the way the river whispered secrets only the moon could hear. You can almost see her, her gown heavy with embroidery, her hair wrapped in silk, her eyes distant. The reflection of the moon ripples across her face as she prays quietly, the sound of her voice lost in the water's hush. And then, perhaps another figure, Elizabeth again, older now, her presence quiet yet fierce. She looks at the same river, but not for comfort, rather for strength. The water moves, relentless and sure, and in it she sees herself, calm on the surface, but filled with unstoppable force beneath. Both sisters, bound by the same blood, the same history, but walking different paths that would forever define the kingdom. You open your eyes again, the night still wrapped around you like a soft cloak. The garden and river blend together, scent and sound, light and dark. The breeze brushes against your face, and you feel as though you're part of something larger, a slow, breathing memory that stretches across time. A swan glides past on the river, silent and graceful. The lantern's reflection dances across its feathers, like threads of gold moving with the current. Its motion is hypnotic, lulling the mind into stillness. You rise slowly, following the curve of the path that leads along the bank. The grass beneath your feet sparkles faintly, and the sound of the river becomes your rhythm, steady, gentle, eternal. Each step feels lighter now, as though gravity itself has softened. The palace behind you fades into mist, its towers now a dream. The world narrows to the quiet of water, the scent of night, and the pulse of ancient history flowing endlessly onward. As you walk, you sense that time is blurring, centuries folding together in silence. You are no longer only in Tudor England. You are walking through memory itself, and with every breath you drift deeper into peace. The path bends back toward the palace, and as you walk, the gentle hum of the river fades behind you. Ahead, the air grows warmer, carrying the faint fragrance of parchment, wax, and burning wood. You pass through an ivy-covered archway, the vines rustling softly in the night breeze. The old stones of the palace seem to breathe, whispering with every shift of the wind, their surface cool beneath your fingertips as you brush against the wall. A small wooden door stands half hidden behind the arch. Its iron hinges are old, weathered, and delicate, like the veins of a leaf. You push gently, and it creaks open, revealing a narrow stairway spiraling upward. The walls glow faintly with torchlight, flickering across the rough stone as you climb. The sound of your footsteps echoes softly, each step carrying you deeper into history. At the top, you emerge into a hidden library, a long, narrow room lined with shelves that stretch from floor to ceiling. The scent of old books fills the air, mingling with the faint smoke of a dying fire in the hearth. Candlelight dances across the golden bindings, casting tiny glimmers like scattered stars. You take a slow breath, letting the air fill your chest. It smells of ink, leather, and quiet knowledge. Each book is a vessel of the past, and you can almost feel the weight of the centuries resting here, patiently waiting to be remembered. A single table sits in the center, covered with scrolls and quills. On one open manuscript, a page glows faintly in the candlelight. A letter written in delicate Tudor script. You lean closer and trace the elegant words. My dearest sister, I write these lines with a heart divided between love and duty. It might have been written by Mary to Elizabeth, or by Elizabeth to Mary. The ink does not say, but the tone carries both tenderness and restraint, the careful language of two sisters bound by destiny and separated by ambition. The thought fills the air with quiet melancholy, yet peace too, as though the words have long since forgiven the pain they once held. You sit at the table, running your fingers gently over the wood's smooth surface. The faint warmth of the candle flames flickers across your hands. Around you, the library hums softly, the sound of settling wood, the whisper of wind at the window, and the slow crackle of the fire. The window itself is tall and narrow, framed in dark oak. You rise and step closer. Beyond the glass, the night sky spreads like a velvet curtain, deep blue and scattered with countless stars. The moon hangs low, reflecting faintly on the rooftops of the sleeping palace. You imagine Elizabeth here, years later perhaps, standing at this very window, her gaze lifted toward the heavens. She was said to love learning, to spend the hours lost in thought and study long after others had gone to sleep. Maybe she too would have looked at these stars, her mind weaving dreams of a future yet unwritten, wondering what kind of queen she would become. The room feels sacred, not because of gold or grandeur, but because of quiet purpose. This was a place of thought, reflection, and learning. It held the gentle heartbeat of knowledge in a world often ruled by power. As the fire burns lower, shadows stretch across the floor, merging with the soft glow of the moon. You pull a chair close to the hearth and sit again, the warmth a gentle comfort. The world outside fades, the palace walls, the river, the gardens, all dissolving into stillness. The candle flames flicker one by one, like stars dimming into dawn. The pages of the old books rustle softly, as if stirred by unseen hands. You close your eyes, listening to the faint hum of the night. It's easy to imagine the princesses here, Mary with her prayer book, Elizabeth with her Latin scrolls, two souls bound by history, each finding solace in solitude. The air grows softer, almost drowsy. The rhythm of your breath matches the slow dance of the firelight. You can hear the heartbeat of time itself, steady and eternal. And as you drift between thought and dream, you realize that history, too, is like sleep, a place where memories rest, where stories never truly end, but simply fade into quiet. Outside, the stars begin to blur, their edges soft against the velvet sky. The wind sighs through the garden below, carrying with it the faint echo of laughter. Maybe a memory, maybe the dream of someone who once lived here. You open your eyes once more, only to find that the line between past and present has almost vanished. The air feels warm and golden, filled with the lingering peace of centuries. You take one final glance at the books, the letters, the quiet fire, and whisper a silent goodnight to those who once walked these halls. The flame flickers once more, and the room fades into dream. The night deepens over the palace. All torches are dimmed, and the corridors glow only with the faint shimmer of moonlight spilling through tall arched windows. Outside, the courtyard lies in perfect silence, the fountains stilled, the roses closed. The air carries a faint chill, soft, cool, and clean. The kind that belongs to late summer nights, when the earth holds its breath before dawn. You step out into the open gallery once more, the marble beneath your feet smooth and cold. Overhead, the sky opens like an endless tapestry of silver and shadow. The stars seem brighter here, free of the smoke and noise of the modern world, quiet, vast, eternal. For a moment, you stop and simply breathe. Each inhalation feels deeper than the last, filling your chest with cool night air. Each exhalation carries away what remains of the day. Every worry, every thought, every burden you brought with you. You are emptying, gently, slowly, peacefully. Down below, the gardens shimmer in moonlight. The hedges throw long, soft shadows. A nightbird calls in the distance. One, then another, their song weaving through the stillness like a lullaby. You can almost imagine the same sounds echoing through these very gardens 5 centuries ago. Perhaps Mary once stood here unable to sleep, her gaze fixed on these same constellations. Perhaps Elizabeth too, much later, stared up at them, thinking of the future that waited beyond her father's shadow. The stars have always watched. They are the patient witnesses of all that has come and gone, the silent keepers of memory. A soft wind drifts across the gallery now, stirring the embroidered banners that hang above. Their faded colours shift in the moonlight, and for a fleeting second, it's as if the figures woven into the cloth, lions, crowns, and lilies, are alive, whispering their stories to the night. You rest your hands on the cool stone of the balustrade. The surface feels ancient, smooth from centuries of touch. Beneath it lies the heartbeat of the palace, quiet, slow, steady. Somewhere below, a watchman passes with a lantern, his light flickering between the pillars. The faint ring of his boots against the cobblestones echoes softly, rhythmic and soothing. He hums something, an old tune perhaps, a melody that sounds like home, even though it belongs to another time. You close your eyes. The sound fades, replaced by the whisper of wind and the soft pulse of your own breath. The night wraps itself around you like a cloak. From here, history feels almost tangible, not in books or words, but in sensation, the touch of cool stone, the scent of dew on grass, the hush of torches fading into the dark. This is what life in the Tudor age might have truly felt like. not always grand or dramatic, but quiet, slow, and deeply human. And as you stand there, surrounded by centuries of stillness, you begin to understand something simple yet profound, that history is not far away. It lives in the spaces between breaths, in the echoes of footsteps, in the stillness of midnight air. A cloud drifts across the moon, dimming the light. The shadows deepen, softening every edge, until the palace seems to dissolve into the darkness. Only the stars remain, a field of endless silver lights, each one older than the kingdom below. You lie down now, perhaps on a bench beneath the stars, or perhaps in the quiet chamber nearby. The sound of the night lulls you, the faint hum of crickets, the far-off rustle of trees, the distant hush of the river. Your breath slows, your body feels weightless. Every sound, every sensation folds softly into the next. Above you, the stars shimmer faintly, timeless, unchanging, watching over the slumber of kings and queens, poets and dreamers, travelers and listeners. You are part of their long memory now, a soul at rest beneath the same eternal sky. The palace fades. The stars drift closer until all you see is light, soft, endless, quiet. The journey has slowed, but it has not ended. It has simply become still, like a river pausing before dawn. You are safe here, in this night of long ago dreams. Breathe once more, deeply, and as you exhale, let yourself drift into calm, into peace, into sleep. The night stretches long and still across the land, and within that stillness, the stories of two queens begin to softly intertwine. Their names, Mary and Elizabeth, echo through time like the faint notes of a harp, long since fallen silent. Yet even now their melody endures. Mary, the elder sister, was shaped by devotion and loss. The shadows of her mother's sorrow followed her, as did the prayers of an unyielding faith. She grew beneath the stern gaze of expectation, carrying with her the ache of loyalty and the weight of disappointment. Her reign would be brief, and her story often told with sadness. Yet within it lies something tender, a portrait of conviction, of a woman who tried to hold the world together when it was breaking apart. Elizabeth, the younger, stood on the same path yet walked it differently. She was light to Mary's shadow, cautious where her sister was fervent, measured where others burned too brightly. The daughter of Anne Boleyn, she bore the ghosts of the past in silence, learning early that power was best worn quietly, like a veil. In her time the world would change, art, language, and thought blossoming beneath her reign like spring after a long, hard winter. And though their destinies diverged, both women were bound by a shared truth. They were daughters of a kingdom that often loved them and feared them in equal measure. They lived in a world that demanded grace and obedience, yet whispered that they were too strong, too clever, too different. Imagine them both, now not as queens, but as sisters sitting beneath the same canopy of stars. The crown and the throne fade away, and only their humanity remains. Perhaps they might have spoken softly if time had been kinder. Perhaps they might have laughed together once, in the tender light of girlhood, before the world divided them. In the quiet of the Tudor night, you can almost hear their voices, gentle, weary, human. You can hear Mary's calm tone, threaded with faith, and Elizabeth's thoughtful cadence, sharpened by wisdom and restraint. Their conversation drifts through the centuries like wind through tall grass, faint but enduring. Did we do what we must? Mary might have asked, her eyes turned to the heavens. And perhaps Elizabeth, gazing at the same sky, would have whispered back, We did what we could. The moon moves slowly overhead, casting long shadows through the old palace gardens. Every petal, every leaf seems to shimmer with memory. You begin to sense how fragile the boundaries of time truly are, how easily the past folds into the present when viewed through stillness and wonder. Their world was filled with duty, processions, prayers, courtiers whispering in dark corners, but also with moments like this, the pause after the music fades, the breath between decisions, the silent strength it takes to continue. And in that strength lies their legacy, not merely as rulers, but as women who carried the contradictions of their time. Love and loyalty, fear and defiance, solitude and strength. They lived not for themselves, but for the kingdom that would remember them in fragments and fables, long after their voices had gone quiet. The moonlight softens now, turning the garden silver. The air cools further, still and weightless. You can almost feel their presence beside you, not as figures from history, but as gentle companions in the night. For in this moment of calm reflection, the centuries dissolve. The story of Mary and Elizabeth is no longer about crowns or battles, but about the tender, unspoken truth that connects every soul, the longing to be understood, the desire to endure, the quiet beauty of simply existing beneath the same eternal sky. The wind sighs through the trees, the stars shimmer faintly, your breath slows again, soft and rhythmic. The world feels smaller, closer, kinder. You rest in the echo of their legacy. 2 women, 2 lives, forever joined by history and forgiveness. The night holds you in silence. The past hums softly like a lullaby, and the stars above keep watch, as they always have, over the sleeping kingdom of memory. Night stretches long and still across the land, and within that stillness, the stories of 2 queens begin to softly intertwine. Their names, Mary and Elizabeth, echo through time like the faint notes of a harp long since fallen silent. Yet even now, their melody endures. Mary, the elder sister, was shaped by devotion and loss. The shadows of her mother's sorrow followed her, as did the prayers of an unyielding faith. She grew beneath the stern gaze of expectation, carrying with her the ache of loyalty and the weight of disappointment. Her reign would be brief, and her story often told with sadness. Yet within it lies something tender, a portrait of conviction, of a woman who tried to hold the world together when it was breaking apart. Elizabeth, the younger, stood on the same path yet walked it differently. She was light to Mary's shadow, cautious where her sister was fervent, measured where others burned too brightly. The daughter of Anne Boleyn, she bore the ghosts of the past in silence, learning early that power was best worn quietly, like a veil. In her time, the world would change. Art, language, and thought blossoming beneath her reign like spring after a long, hard winter. And though their destinies diverged, both women were bound by a shared truth. They were daughters of a kingdom that often loved them and feared them in equal measure. They lived in a world that demanded grace and obedience, yet whispered that they were too strong, too clever, too different. Imagine them both now, not as queens, but as sisters, sitting beneath the same canopy of stars. The crown and the throne fade away, and only their humanity remains. Perhaps they might have spoken softly if time had been kinder. Perhaps they might have laughed together once, in the tender light of girlhood, before the world divided them. In the quiet of the Tudor night, You can almost hear their voices, gentle, weary, human. You can hear Mary's calm tone, threaded with faith, and Elizabeth's thoughtful cadence, sharpened by wisdom and restraint. Their conversation drifts through the centuries, like wind through tall grass, faint but enduring. "Did we do what we must?" Mary might have asked, her eyes turned to the heavens, and perhaps Elizabeth, gazing at the same sky, would have whispered back, "We did what we could." The moon moves slowly overhead, casting long shadows through the old palace gardens. Every petal, every leaf seems to shimmer with memory. You begin to sense how fragile the boundaries of time truly are, how easily the past folds into the present when viewed through stillness and wonder. Their world was filled with duty, processions, prayers, courtiers whispering in dark corners, but also with moments like this. The pause after the music fades, the breath between decisions, the silent strength it takes to continue. And in that strength lies their legacy, not merely as rulers, but as women who carried the contradictions of their time, love and loyalty, fear and defiance, solitude and strength. They lived not for themselves, but for the kingdom that would remember them in fragments and fables long after their voices had gone quiet. The moonlight softens now, turning the garden silver. The air cools further, still and weightless. You can almost feel their presence beside you, not as figures from history, but as gentle companions in the night. For in this moment of calm reflection, the centuries dissolve. The story of Mary and Elizabeth is no longer about crowns or battles, but about the tender, unspoken truth that connects every soul, the longing to be understood, the desire to endure, the quiet beauty of simply existing beneath the same eternal sky. The wind sighs through the trees, the stars shimmer faintly. Your breath slows again, soft and rhythmic. The world feels smaller, closer, kinder. You rest in the echo of their legacy. Two women, two lives, forever joined by history and forgiveness. The night holds you in silence. The past hums softly, like a lullaby, and the stars above keep watch, as they always have, over the sleeping kingdom of memory. The world begins to blur around the edges now. The torches burn low in their iron sconces, their flames bending softly to the breath of the night. You feel the air grow cooler, quieter, as though the very castle itself exhales, surrendering to rest. The grand halls that once echoed with footsteps and whispers now lie still. Tapestries hang like shadows, their threads telling stories no one remains to read. The scent of beeswax and old parchment lingers faintly in the corridors. Outside, the moonlight spills across the courtyard, pale and forgiving, draping the stones in silver calm. You walk slowly down the empty gallery, each step a whisper, each breath a bridge between past and present. The portraits on the walls seem to watch gently, not with judgment, but with the quiet understanding of time. There is Mary, serene and solemn, her eyes deep with thought. There is Elizabeth, radiant and composed, her gaze both distant and knowing. Their stories hover here still, not as noise or memory, but as atmosphere. A peaceful weight that fills the air like the hush before dawn. You reach the great window at the end of the hall. Beyond it, the kingdom stretches into the mist. Villages sleeping beneath their thatched roofs, rivers winding like ribbons of moonlight, forests standing tall and endless. From here it all looks so calm, so eternal. You imagine the sound of distant bells, carried faintly on the breeze, soft, low and rhythmic, like a heartbeat fading into the night. Perhaps they toll for the passing of a queen, or perhaps they simply mark the hour when the world must sleep. The mist deepens, the stars blur, the kingdom seems to dissolve into light. You realize that what once felt solid, the marble floors, the banners, the throne, is slipping gently into memory, and it feels right that it should. History does not vanish, it transforms, finding new life in the minds of those who remember. In that soft transformation, you feel yourself drifting too, not away, but within, as though your spirit were stepping beyond time itself. You walk into the courtyard, where the night air smells of lavender and dew. The gardens are overgrown but peaceful, their roses folding into sleep. The fountain murmurs faintly, and you sense that every sound, every echo, carries centuries of peace and patience. Somewhere, a nightingale begins to sing, slow, lilting, tender. Its song carries the same story told again and again, of endings that are only beginnings, of sorrow turned to rest. The tune rises, then falls, fading into the hush. You sit on a stone bench, eyes half closed, and feel the stillness settle around you. This is no longer the Tudor court of rivalry and rule. It is something deeper, quieter, a realm between waking and dream. The faces of Mary and Elizabeth drift like reflections on water, graceful, untouchable, yet full of warmth. Their crowns melt into mist, their hands open in peace. They are no longer queens, nor sisters divided. They are fragments of the same dream, two lights in the same eternal night. The mist swirls gently, folding you into its calm. The world slows to a whisper. The edges of thought begin to blur, and just before the last of the light fades, you hear one final echo, a voice, soft and distant. Rest now. The story is told, the kingdom sleeps, and so shall you. The words settle deep into you, tender and rhythmic, like waves against the shore. You breathe in long and slow. You breathe out, deeper still. The palace disappears into silver fog. The past drifts away like a dream, and the night embraces you, full, silent, endless. The air has cooled now, carrying with it the faint perfume of old roses and the soft promise of distant rain. Above, the sky stretches wide and endless, painted in deep indigo and scattered with silver stars that glimmer faintly in their quiet watch. Each one seems to hum with ancient memory, as though they have witnessed the turning of every age. You gaze upward, and for a moment it feels as if time folds back upon itself. These are the same stars that once watched over the Tudor court, the same gentle lights that shimmered above London's fog-draped rooftops, glimmering softly beyond the tower windows of kings and queens long gone. The constellations hang still, unchanging, carrying the stories of those who lived and dreamed beneath their glow. The stars remember everything. They have seen empires rise in brilliance and crumble into dust. They have watched joy and heartbreak, birth and passing, triumph and regret. They do not speak, nor do they judge. They simply shine, calm, patient, eternal. Their light is older than any crown, older than the stone walls of any palace, and yet it feels intimate, tender even, As it spills over the sleeping world, you breathe deeply, the air cool against your skin, and in that breath, the heaviness of history begins to drift away. Somewhere far in the distance, an owl calls. A long, low sound that carries softly through the night, echoing through the quiet stillness. It feels timeless, as though it has always belonged to this hour. Your thoughts wander to Mary, perhaps still kneeling in candlelight, her whispers dissolving into the flicker of flame. Prayers for peace, for forgiveness, for understanding. Then you think of Elizabeth, poised in her quiet strength, walking through long corridors where moonlight spills across the floor. Their lives, so full of struggle and grace, once burned like twin torches against the darkness of their age. Now, they rest beneath the same stars that once guided them, two souls bound by the same sky, the same longing for peace. The stars above seem to pulse faintly, their glow steady yet alive, breathing with the slow rhythm of the universe. In and out, in and out, as if the cosmos itself is inhaling, exhaling, lulling you deeper into calm. With every breath, the weight of the world softens. The noise of history fades. The grandeur of castles, the tension of courts, the endless turning of politics and power, all of it slips gently away. What remains is the heartbeat of existence itself, slow and steady, peaceful and infinite. The wind stirs the leaves, whispering softly through the trees, and within that sound, you catch faint echoes of forgotten voices. They are not loud, not clear, but gentle, woven into the air like music. Perhaps it is the hum of a lute, played in some distant hall for a queen's quiet amusement. Perhaps it is the laughter of servants preparing for dawn. Or perhaps it is something older still, the soft vibration of the world breathing, the pulse of time itself. You close your eyes and let the starlight fall through your thoughts, warm and quiet. Behind your eyelids the night still glows, soft, silvery and infinite. It feels as though you are floating, light and unanchored, drifting among the constellations. The stars no longer seem far away. They are around you, between you, inside you, connected through every quiet beat of your heart. The universe is vast, yes, but it is not lonely. It hums with gentle connection. Every star, every life, every dream bound together by invisible threads of light. In that endless weave, Mary and Elizabeth exist too, not as rivals or queens, but as daughters of time, at peace within the same vast silence that now surrounds you. A faint shimmer passes through the sky, and for a heartbeat, it feels as though the stars themselves are whispering. Their message is soft, almost lost within the breath of the wind. Peace comes to all in time. Rest in the Zen knowing. The words drift through your thoughts like silk and dissolve into the night. You exhale slowly, and with that breath, everything begins to fade. The world, the past, the sound of your own thoughts. You are no longer observing history. You are part of it, carried within its quiet embrace. The stars shine steadily above, ancient and patient, their light falling over you like a lullaby. The night deepens, and time becomes a gentle tide, rocking you toward stillness. The sky is wide, eternal, and full of memory. Every glimmer above carries the quiet promise that nothing truly disappears, that every heart, every story, every dream becomes part of the great, endless rhythm. As you rest, the stars continue their silent vigil, watching over all who sleep beneath them. Their glow softens, their song fades into the hush of the world, and you drift with them, calm, weightless, remembered. The story is quiet now. The echoes of the Tudor court have long since dissolved into the stillness of night. The tapestries have faded, the candlelight has dimmed, and the whispers of queens and courtiers have drifted beyond reach. What remains is peace, vast, weightless, and eternal. You feel it settle softly around you, like a warm blanket drawn close across your shoulders. The long journey through time has come to an end, and all that is left is the hush of the present moment, the soft rhythm of your own breathing, the gentle beating of your heart. In the distance, the faintest light of dawn begins to bloom. It touches the edge of the horizon, spilling across the fields of memory like gold dust across a sleeping world. You no longer walk through palaces or gardens. You float through the space between dreams where time bends and every century is silent. The air is cool and full of promise. Each breath you take draws you deeper into calm, deeper into safety. The body loosens, the mind releases, and the weight of centuries falls away. The story has given you what it came to offer: stillness, reflection, and the quiet truth that peace is timeless. You rest at the threshold of sleep now, between worlds, the real and the remembered, the living and the long gone. You can still sense faint impressions of history, like ripples fading in water. Somewhere far away, the ghost of a lute whispers a final chord. A single candle flickers once, twice, then fades. The castle stands silent under a rising sky, its stones cool and patient, its towers veiled in mist. The air hums with the faint echo of prayers once spoken, of laughter once carried on the wind. And then slowly those echoes fall silent too. The world grows softer, until even thought itself feels like a gentle tide retreating from the shore. The night holds you now. You are no longer a listener to the past. You are part of it, gently folded into the rhythm of time. The boundaries of the story blur and drift away. You are lying beneath a sky that has watched every age pass by. The same sky that shone above kings and queens, shepherds and dreamers, travelers and lovers. Its light has touched them all, and now it touches you. The stars are your companions. Their light hums faintly through the darkness, a soft, steady lullaby written by the universe itself. You are safe beneath their gaze. You are small, but you are infinite. You are still, and you are held. Your breathing slows to the rhythm of the earth. In through the nose, soft and steady. Out through the mouth, calm and complete. With each exhale, you sink a little deeper into stillness. The muscles in your shoulders release. Your hands grow warm and loose. The rhythm of your heart slows to match the hush of the world around you. There is no rush here, no time, no need to move or think. Every breath carries you further from the world of waking, deeper into the gentle current of sleep. And now, as the story draws to its end, the world itself begins to dissolve. The castle walls fade into the mist, the fields vanish into silver light. Even the stars begin to dim, their glow soft and far away. All that remains is the warmth of rest, the hush of peace. You hear the narrator's voice, low and slow, barely more than a whisper. The journey is complete. The city fades into dreams. You are safe and at peace. The words flow through you like waves lapping against the shore, each one softer than the last, each one carrying you deeper into sleep. You are drifting now, weightless, far beyond the sound of your own name. The body rests, The breath flows gently, thought quiets to nothing. There is only calm, only the deep, endless quiet of night. Perhaps this is what the queens of old felt in their final peace. The release of burden, the exhale after a long, long reign. In this space there is no past or future, only this, the infinite stillness between heartbeats, the stillness that holds you, watches you, and whispers, "You are home." The voice fades a little further, words now no more than vibrations in the air. You have walked through time. You have watched kingdoms rise and fall. You have seen love, loss, and light. And now you rest. The world narrows to a single point of quiet, like a candle's flame shrinking before it winks out. The mind drifts beyond thought. The heart slows. The stars fade entirely. Only breath remains, slow and steady, rising and falling, until even that sound becomes a dream. Soon there is nothing left to do, nothing to think, nothing to see, nothing to remember, only sleep. Deep, healing, infinite sleep. The kind of sleep that carries you through centuries in a single moment, leaving you renewed, weightless, and whole. As you drift, the world holds you softly. The hum of the past still beneath your skin, the calm of eternity in your breath. The story rests, and so do you. And as the voice slips away into silence, one final whisper lingers, so faint you almost dream it. If this journey brought you calm, if these echoes of time helped you find rest, stay with us. Let history sing you to sleep again. Then silence. Only the breath, only peace, only sleep. The story is quiet now. The echoes of the Tudor court have long since dissolved into the stillness of night. The tapestries have faded, the candlelight has dimmed, and the whispers of queens and courtiers have drifted beyond reach. What remains is peace, vast, weightless, and eternal. You feel it settle softly around you, like a warm blanket drawn close across your shoulders. The long journey through time has come to an end, and all that is left is the hush of the present moment, the soft rhythm of your own breathing, the gentle beating of your heart. In the distance, the faintest light of dawn begins to bloom. It touches the edge of the horizon, spilling across the fields of memory like gold dust across a sleeping world. You no longer walk through palaces or gardens. You float through the space between dreams, where time bends and every century is silent. The air is cool and full of promise. Each breath you take draws you deeper into calm, deeper into safety. The body loosens, the mind releases, and the weight of centuries falls away. The story has given you what it came to offer: stillness, reflection, and the quiet truth that peace is timeless. You rest at the threshold of sleep now. Between worlds, the real and the remembered, the living and the long gone, you can still sense faint impressions of history, like ripples fading in water. Somewhere far away, the ghost of a lute whispers a final chord. A single candle flickers once, twice, then fades. The castle stands silent under a rising sky, its stones cool and patient, its towers veiled in mist. The air hums with the faint echo of prayers once spoken, of laughter once carried on the wind. And then slowly, those echoes fall silent too. The world grows softer, until even thought itself feels like a gentle tide retreating from the shore. The night holds you now. You are no longer a listener to the past. You are part of it, gently folded into the rhythm of time. The boundaries of the story blur and drift away. You are lying beneath a sky that has watched every age pass by. The same sky that shone above kings and queens, shepherds and dreamers, travelers and lovers. Its light has touched them all, and now it touches you. The stars are your companions, Their light hums faintly through the darkness, a soft, steady lullaby written by the universe itself. You are safe beneath their gaze. You are small, but you are infinite. You are still, and you are held. Your breathing slows to the rhythm of the earth. In through the nose, soft and steady. Out through the mouth, calm and complete. With each exhale, you sink a little deeper into stillness. The muscles in your shoulders release. Your hands grow warm and loose. The rhythm of your heart slows to match the hush of the world around you. There is no rush here, no time, no need to move or think. Every breath carries you further from the world of waking, deeper into the gentle current of sleep. And now, as the story draws to its end, the world itself begins to dissolve. The castle walls fade into the mist. The fields vanish into silver light. Even the stars begin to dim, their glow soft and far away. All that remains is the warmth of rest, the hush of peace. You hear the narrator's voice, low and slow, barely more than a whisper. The journey is complete. The city fades into dreams. You are safe and at peace. The words flow through you like waves lapping against the shore, each one softer than the last, each one carrying you deeper into sleep.